Eddie Jones spoke at England's team announcement press conference about Argentina's current world ranking position of 9th, a precarious place to be ahead of next spring's 2019 Rugby World Cup draw. Does Jones think it'll be front of mind for the Pumas at Twickenham?
Well, it's a massive motivational issue for them. You get in a pool where there's 3 Tier 1 countries, and one team's going to miss out on going through the next stage. So, what we know is that they're coming to Twickenham. They're not going to be lacking motivation. They've had a very strenuous season, but they'll come there full of beans, ready to play. As I've spoken about before, if you look at the record of English rugby, since 2003 there's only been one world-class player produced, and that's Johnny Wilkinson. And there hasn't been the desire there for the players to really push themselves to be great. Now I think we've got a number of players who want to be part of a great team, who want to be great players themselves. And that means you've got to work that little bit harder, you've got to pay attention to things, you've got to eat the right foods, you've got to do the right recovery, and the players are starting to do that. Today, we take numbers on everything, how they get out of bed, what foot they put forward, all that sort of rubbish. And our well-being results today on how they're feeling are one of the highest we've gotten. We've had 3 quite specific weeks of training with 2 decent games. So, the players are in good physical nick, which is a result of what they're doing. Well, first thing against Argentina is to test your manhood. They're physical guys. They want to take you on at the scrum, the maul, and the breakdown. You go to Argentina, you have a big stake, don't you? It's about being physical. So that's our first test. So we've got no issue with that. We know that's coming, and we'll accommodate that very well. And then the second part of the game is we've got to be opportunistic, because Argentina have a defence that works and sometimes it doesn't work, and we've got to be aware of the space and take that very quickly. And the third thing, as Guzzy alluded to, our defence has just got to be absolutely suffocating. They've got 2 very good 9s. They've replaced the usual starting 9 with Kubeli, who's a very talented player, works the edges of the ruck defence very hard. Then they've got both Sanchez and Hernandez at 10 and 12, which gives them 2 ball players. 5 years ago, Hernandez was the best player in the world, and Sanchez has really staked a claim for being an outstanding standoff. And then they've got big ball runners in the pack, the big number 6, what's his name? Matera can carry. He's a serious ball carrier. And they're good enough to leave the number 8 Issa on the bench this week. So, they present threats to us all across the park, and because of that, they're harder to defend against, because they've got a 9 that tests you around the edge of the ruck, and they've got 10 and 12 that can play a passing game, and they've got a kicking game as well with Hernandez. He's kicked more high balls than Ed Balls had dancing, Strictly Dancing. He's an absolute expert at high balls.